Hello everyone, welcome to a new process video today. I am working in my traveler's notebook in my read and review series. So this is all about books that I read, and I'm getting so close to the end of 2019. I'm excited. So for this one, I have the book Brooklyn. Now for this one, they actually made it into a movie. The cover of the book shows Saoirse Ronan, who was in the movie. So after I read it, I decided, all right, I've never seen the film. I'll watch it. And so I really have kind of both that I can write about here, and I do plan to journal a little bit about both. So I have that. But the other thing I want to do here with this video is a pick three. Look at my fancy sign here that I have, an old box. But I need to pick three things out of my stash because I have stuff sitting around that I don't use a lot, and I've got to work through some of this stuff. So here's my first group of items here. So I have to use something from here. These are just tags, and I seem to get these in lots of different kits, and then I just drop them into this bag and then I forget about them. I don't use them a lot. Whoops. So I need to go through there and pick out something. So that's item one. Item two, I'm kind of mad at myself about this. Circle punches. You would think that these would get used all the time, right? For some reason, this is a 1-inch. It doesn't. I use my 1 1/4 or my 2-inch way more. And so this one has kind of just been sitting around. So I'm going to use it today to punch circles out of something. I don't know. So that's item number two. And then this is my third item. This was given to me by a friend who had it and was not using it. And I thought, well, if nothing else, I can cut it up and use it for strips, or if I die cut with my Cuttlebug or something. And I haven't used a whole lot in it yet. I've used some, but not a lot. So I have to use something out of here. Excuse me, my voice is going today. I have to use something out of here as well. So that's item number three. So I've got tags, 1-inch punch, and then this paper from Cricut. I think the first thing is to really look at the photo and figure out what can I start with in terms of paper. So I've got green in the background here in the trees. I've got kind of a tan color here and a brick color. These are pretty close. So brownish tan, something there. And then she's got in her sweater, it's almost like a sea green or mist green. It's hard to say what exactly that is. And I don't know that there's enough of that I could match to that. So not sure. I think it's probably going to be green or kind of a brownish tint, but we'll see. When I went through the papers that are in here, I didn't find anything brown, so that's out. I did find this, and I think there's one other one in here that has that's orange, that has a tint that kind of looks like this. But when I hold the picture up to it, it's way, way too much for the background, so I can't do that. So I think it's actually going to be not that green. That's a little too wild for that. Ooh, yeah, this one. I think I'm going to go with that one because at least it brings out the trees. But because this is so bold, I don't think I can entirely paper the background. I think I'm going to have to cut it and get creative with it. But at least that's a start. I had to point out one thing here. 2005. So I don't know how long she had it, but I just got it. She gave it to me last year, 2019. I just got it somewhat recently from her, but the fact that it was made in 2005 lets me know she had it for a very long time. So it's good that this is getting used because it's been in people's stashes for too long. So I cut the paper down to 4x8 because that's a standard size for the TN that I have. And then I cut it in half again. So each of these are only 2 inches wide. So I think what I will do here is kind of take these, and I don't want them perfectly centered, but I will position them kind of more to the outer edge. And then that leaves me room to journal right here. I mean, obviously some of that will be covered up, but it depends on what I do with the tags, and when I punch some circles, what am I doing? A lot of that is up in the air right now, but right now at least I am starting with lots of room for journaling. I think that I will probably end up putting the photo on this upper left-hand side, but for now I don't want to do that because I want to work in some of the other stuff. So my next task here is to find a tag. Or maybe more than one if I'm lucky. After going through all of the tags that I had, I have picked out 4. that might work. I don't really intend to use all four, but I might have a combo. So let me put the photo out here so you can see how they look. So I have this one, which is just a manila sort of light craft color, which sort of matches her skirt and the title there. I have this one that I love because it's got some green in it. It's also got kind of a lighter shade that matches her sweater a little. I don't know that I could pull it off, but I kind of want to. So I have that. And then I have these two smaller ones. And this one, again, has the color of her skirt. It has a nice wood grain. And then this one, which is just, you know, like the buildings in the background. So I'm trying to think, can I maybe use all four or put them together in some way? I'll find out. All right, I'm thinking that maybe for the left side, I can do something like this. I'll have to cut off some of the ends, but that's fine. But at least then it would let me work all this in and I can overlap the photo. I do also think I have to trim the photo a little bit. I don't need all this dead space that's just showing my background. I must have been sitting on my couch. Yep, I was. I can trim down some of that to really focus in on the book, and then it will also fit better. All right, I've trimmed down the photo and I think that's much better. It gives me more space to work with here. And so I do think it's going to be something like that with this one peeking out, and maybe I'll journal there or add something to it, but it's a great start. And then the only thing I noticed is I thought this was like a pop-out thing. It's not. It's just a piece of paper. So I'll have to use my crocodile here and punch out that little hole so it actually looks like a tag. So the 3/16 hole that's on the crocodile still wasn't quite big enough. So I may go back in and punch one more time, or I may just leave it because once it's on the layout, you're not going to notice it that much. And I may end up covering it up with something like just a tiny, tiny circle of paper or a rhinestone or who knows what, but we'll see what happens. All right, so there is the left side. I did go back in and punch out just a little bit more to make it more even. So I did that. But there's the left side. I did keep this tag thinking maybe I can use it over here. These tones aren't that far off. This is a little more yellow, obviously, but it still works with the skirt. So I'm wondering if maybe I can just somehow attach it like down here, because I wouldn't want it across from these, but maybe down here. It would be pretty small if I actually cut off the end. I don't know. I'll play around with it, but at least I used 3. Might be able to use 4. Now I have to figure out the circle issue. So I decided to pull out my scraps. So I sort mine by color. So I have blue, yellow, and brown, thinking that I can work with the tones that are in here and with the tags, because I don't want more green. There's enough, I think. But I can work in some of these colors still in small amounts. I've picked out some papers. So I picked out these for possibilities for yellow. These for brown. So I have several different tones here. And then I have this to match her sweater. It's kind of a bluish green. And then, don't think I'm crazy, I have this paper. And it's a city grid. And it's Brooklyn, you know? So I thought maybe it's kind of this shade. Now I'd have to use that in an extremely small amount because it's so busy and I don't want it to detract here. But I'm just wondering if there's some way I can work it in since it's about Brooklyn, New York. So I have punched all of these to start with, and now I'm going to see if I can kind of strategically place them. And then I also still have this. So I'm wondering if somehow I could overlap, you know, in some way to make it become a really cool design. Not sure. So here is what I came up with. I'm pleased with it. I worked in that tag. So I used 4 tags. That's crazy, but I love it. And then I worked in 3 circles over here, 2 over here. So that's a total of 5, which I like. I like odd numbers when I'm designing. So that's great. Now I think I just need to add maybe some stamping or some die cuts or ephemera that I have that's specific to reading and books. So I will do that next. I have this set of very, very thin wood veneers from Color Cast Designs, and they're all about books and reading. So I'm hoping that something will work in here. I just happen to have circles, but then there are also just little phrases. So I will look through my pile and see what I like. I have decided to use this one. I did love it. I thought it was very good. And I like that the color's a darker wood type instead of this one. I feel like that's too light. This matches the tags better and my circles and the book cover. And the wonderful thing about these, other than being super thin, which is awesome, is that they come with adhesive already on them. All you have to do is peel the backing, which is fantastic. And so I think because I've got this going, that to make a visual triangle, I need to have it up here. So you know what, because this is kind of to the edge and this is, I think I'll put this in a little bit more like so, right to the edge of the green with the star. And then I still have left all of this room for journaling and a little bit here. So I think that's plenty for me to say what I need to say. And in looking at this, is it done? I feel like I need stamping or something maybe on here. Let me look in my stamps about books. I've selected to use this stamp set, and this is a newer one by Kelly Perky. She has closed her shop, as most people probably know. So this was one of the last ones she put out. So it's called Well Read, and it came out at the end of 2019. So I don't know that it's available anywhere, maybe eBay or something. But if you like it, see if you can find it. And I want to use the stamp on here that says memoir. Technically, I think this is just fiction. I don't think it's based on somebody's real life, but it's a memoir in that it's her telling about her story of immigrating to the United States. So I find that very interesting. So I'm going to call it a memoir. I added my stamping, and then I also decided to just take a very, very fine tip black pen, and I just outlined around the holes here just to bring in a tiny little bit of black, and then I did a little bit of a line here as well, just so that this wouldn't feel like it's the only black thing. Obviously I'll have black ink when I journal, but I just wanted it to feel consistent. But with that completed on these pages, I think this one is done. So here's another one finished for my 2019 books. Thanks for watching.